Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 6, Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. Text 40. Satu palabhya gatamatmayonim Sura Suresha Abhivanditangri Uttaya Chakre Shirasa Bhivandanam Ahat Tama Kasya Yathaiva Vishnu Satu Palabhya Gatamatmayonim Sarasaresha Abhivanditangri Uttaya Chakre Shirasa Bhivandanam Arhat Tamakasya Yathaiva Vishnu Satu Palabhya Gatamatmayonim Sarasaresha Abhivanditangri Uttaya Chakre Shirasa Bhivandanam Arhatamakasya Yathaiva Vishnu Vaishnavis. Sa, Lord Shiva. Tu, but. Upalabhya, seeing. Agatam, had arrived. Atmayonim, Lord Brahma. Sura Asura Ishai, by the best of the demigods and demons. Abhivandita Angri, whose feet are worshipped. Uttaya, standing up. Chakre, made. Shirasa, with his head. Abhivandanam, respectful. Arhatama, Vamana Deva. Kasya, of Kashyapa. Yata Eva, just as. Vishnu. Translation. Lord Shiva's lotus feet were worshipped by both the demigods and demons. But still, in spite of his exalted position, as soon as he saw that Lord Brahma was there among all the other demigods, he immediately stood up and offered him respect by bowing down and touching his lotus feet, just as Vamana Deva offered his respectful obeisances to Kashyapa Muni. Purport. Kashyapa Muni was in the category of the living entities, but he had a transcendental son, Vamana Deva, who was an incarnation of Vishnu. Thus, although Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he offered his respects to Kashyapa Muni. Similarly, when Lord Krishna was a child, he used to offer his respectful obeisances to his mother and father, Nanda and Yashoda. Also, at the Battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna touched the feet of Maharaj Yudhishthira because the king was his elder. It appears then that the personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva, and other devotees, in spite of their being situated in exalted positions, instructed by practical example how to offer obeisances to their superiors. Lord Shiva offered his respectful obeisances to Brahma because Brahma was his father, just as Kashyapa Muni was the father of Vamana. Translation again. Lord Shiva's lotus feet were worshipped by both the demigods and demons, but still, in spite of his exalted position, as soon as he saw that Lord Brahma was there among all the other demigods, he immediately stood up and offered him respect by bowing down and touching his lotus feet, just as Vamana Deva offered his respectful obeisances to Kashyapa Muni. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitanyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As Lord Chaitanya states in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, etiquette is the jewel of the Vaishnava. By acknowledging etiquette in the way we are dealing with juniors, equals, seniors, we're personalists. We live in times, of course, in which any notion of superior, someone being a superior, someone being a senior, someone being an elder, is looked down on. In the workplace, it's very competitive, and so everyone is vying for a higher and higher position. So you superficially respect your leads, but inwardly you're thinking, when will I have your post? It's a symptom of the age of Kali that there is no respect for seniors, no acknowledgement of anyone in a superior position. In fact, what you see going on today in the darkness of the age of Kali is the destroying of any concept of expertise. Everyone is their own expert by the grace of the internet. Everyone's opinion counts the same as everyone else's. How many likes did you get? How many thumbs up did you get? In this way, people become artificially empowered. That I don't need the experts. I don't need to hear what any experts say. I am an autonomous, free individual, and my opinion on Facebook counts as much as anyone else's. So this attitude is destroying human society, not simply spiritually, but also materially. Who are these experts, these legal experts, experts in the economy, experts in this or that or the other? What do they know? I can get on the internet and say whatever I like. And the more outrageous it is, the more hits I get. So this is what you see happening all around you. The decline of expertise, the acknowledgement of any experts. Whereas Vedic culture is completely the opposite. You're looking, where are the experts? Where are the Mahatmas? Where are the Vaishnavas? And this way, one can actually make spiritual advancement, but also material advancement. So what you see happening today is complete chaos. And the result is that people will become easily manipulated. Their base desires will be played upon. Right? You don't need to listen to anyone, but just listen to me. I'll tell you that you should not listen to anyone. It's like the pseudo-yogis who write books saying you don't need books. So now it's the fashion that you don't acknowledge spiritual authorities. What do they know? You don't acknowledge your elders. They're from a different age. You don't acknowledge seniors. Oh, it's just the old boys club. It's everyone for himself. The internet has leveled the playing field. Everyone is their own expert, and everyone can vent and say what they like. So in this way, the family structure is being destroyed, society is being destroyed, and people are being turned into a pack of fools who follow the person with the most outrageous, loudest voice. So what you're seeing in this verse and purport, upon the arrival of Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva is there, of course, you're seeing, even though Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity, he's Shiva Tattva, a special category of his own, in between Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva, as you know. But he's offering respects to Lord Brahma, because you might say superficially, Lord Brahma is his father. Of course, Shiva, he has no father, he actually has no mother, but he appears in this universe through Lord Brahma. So in that way, Lord Brahma is his father. So Lord Shiva, although he's in his own category, not even an ordinary living entity, not a jiva, but he's offering respects to Lord Brahma. So you might say, well, how can Lord Shiva, who's in his own special category, offer respects to Lord Brahma? And still, Lord Shiva is in his superior position, although he's offering respects to Lord Brahma. This is what confuses many persons. How the showing of respect is one thing, but the constitutional position of the person showing respect is another. So when they read about Lord Ram offering respects to Lord Shiva, they say, yeah, just see. Or they read about Lord Chaitanya offering respects to his senior Vaishnavas like Paramananda Puri. People get confused. They think that by offering respect to someone, you're giving up your individuality, you're giving up your own self-respect. And that's considered a great crime today, to give up your self-respect. They call it self-esteem. In order to be successful in the workplace, in order to be successful in your career, you have to always watch out for your self-esteem, how people are sizing you up. The pressure is on you at the workplace, right? To manage your own personal brand. How's your personal brand doing? I was just a few weeks ago in Noida, in India, and so many devotees there working in the IT industry are telling me how they're under constant pressure to be one step ahead of their employer. You have to always show that you have so much value for your company that they won't get rid of you until next year. So you take 1 year at a time, battling. I have this skill. I'm going to get that skill. So the employers will always see that, well, we'd like to get rid of the person, but he or she has skills that the company needs this year. Next year we'll cut her loose, but this year we'll keep you. So in order to keep one step ahead, you've got to constantly be upgrading your skills, right? So you're working like a dog, 60 hours a week, and then in your spare time, you're studying the latest technological development, right? And then you're wondering, how am I going to chant Hare Krishna? So there's no respect for your ability. Yes, we need you this year. We can't guarantee next year. There's no respect for your backlog of experience. When the contract's up, the contract's up. Bye-bye. So in this way, the traditional values of the workplace, which provided some stability, you stay with the same corporation for 40 years. That was the way it was for my parents, their generation. You get a government job, you get a corporate job, and you're with that same firm until you retire. But it's not like that now. And people think the commotion, that the way things are now, they think that is progress. They take it as normal. Everything is in a constant upheaval. And no experts are to be respected. The only ones who get respect are those who have the most money. Never mind their knowledge, never mind their abilities. If they've got money, a lot of money, they're a gentleman, they're a lady. So Srimad Bhagavatam is instilling in you the values of a real human society. And you see even those beyond human society, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, act in such an elegant way. So when you read Bhagavatam, you develop an attachment for that kind of elegance instead of all the raucous, roughhouse dealings of today. Unfortunately, sometimes our own devotees bring such rough dealings into the society of devotees because it's their conditioning. But we want to cleanse that. And by hearing the elegance of the relationships in Bhagavatam, we get a higher vision. In the purport, it's mentioned not only about Kashyapa Muni and Vamana Dev, and Krishna at the Battle of Kurukshetra and Maharaj Yudhisthira. We also hear when Lord Krishna was a child, he used to offer his respectful obeisances to his mother and father, Nanda and Yashoda. Let's go to the end of Damodar Leela. As amazing and inconceivable as it was that Mother Yashoda was able to bind Lord Krishna with rope, it's also just as amazing and inconceivable that Nanda Maharaj untied Krishna. Whether you tie Krishna or you untie him, that's inconceivable because Krishna has no inside and outside, no beginning or end. So the pure bhakti of Braj is what's making this all possible. So you focus generally just on Mother Yashoda binding Lord Krishna with a rope. But you forget that it's equally as inconceivable. Nanda Maharaj is untying Krishna. And Nanda Maharaj, while untying Krishna, didn't notice the huge stack of ropes nearby that Mother Yashoda had accumulated after trying to bind Krishna all day long with one rope after another rope after another. So there was a big pile of ropes right nearby when Nanda Maharaj was untying Krishna. But due to Yoga Maya, he didn't notice. Because the pastime energy of the Lord wants to make sure that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, their pure love for Krishna as his parent, will not be disturbed. So they never think that Krishna is God. What is Nanda Maharaj thinking as he's untying Krishna? He's smiling. But that smile is concealing his anger. Who's he angry at? Why did she bind little Krishna to a mortar? Nanda Maharaj understood the whole situation. Krishna was just offering love. He was just exchanging love with her when he smashed the butter pot and smeared butter all over the floor and walked through it, made butter smeared footprints, fed butter to the monkeys. And he was just showing his love for Mother Yashoda. You didn't finish feeding me, you put me down. So Nanda Maharaj understood. So inside he was angry with his wife. But externally he was smiling so that Krishna would not develop any psychological complexes. And Krishna was also externally smiling. But inwardly, he was afraid of Nanda Maharaj. This is very inconceivable. How can the Supreme Personality of Godhead be afraid of Nanda Maharaj? But Krishna is into the whole Vatsalya praying, the whole exchange of love, pure love with his parents. And he's into it so much that he forgets his own powers. How can the Supreme Personality of Godhead forget his own powers? But this is the power of love. Love in Vrindavan trumps everything. It surpasses everything. So Krishna is smiling, even though inwardly he's afraid. What's my father going to do? My mother bound me up. What comes next? But he sees Nanda Maharaj smiling, so Krishna wants to also, I'm smiling too, even though I'm afraid of you. And Nanda Maharaj, as we said, he's smiling, but he's thinking, my wife, why did she do this? So similarly, you're going to hear in tomorrow's verse that Lord Brahma, upon receiving respect from Lord Shiva, and also Narada Muni was in the audience, they all offered respects to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is smiling as he begins to speak to Lord Shiva. Why is he smiling? To conceal his fear. Lord Shiva's Ashutosha, easily pleased and easily angered. He might be quite angry because he lost his wife, Sati, and he's been insulted by Daksha. This is a frightening situation. If Lord Shiva goes on a destructive binge, so Lord Brahma is externally smiling, but inwardly he knows he's got to deal with a delicate situation. So Nanda Maharaj untied Krishna, and some acharyas say that very same day, others say the next day, is when Upananda, Nanda Maharaj's elder brother, gathered the cowherd people together and said, we gotta move. But before we get to that, let's focus on Krishna showing he's so dependent upon the love of the gopis, the elder gopis especially. They would flatter Krishna. They would even bribe him with prizes. Krishna, do some dance for us and we'll give you a piece of sandesh. And Krishna would, according to their will, clap and dance and sing as if he were their puppet under their control. In this way, Krishna is showing how he loves to come under the control of his pure devotees. Sometimes these elder gopis, and there were a few younger gopis mixed in, but mainly this was the elder gopi crowd, cowherd ladies. They would say, Krishna, bring your father's wooden shoes here. And Krishna would take the wooden shoes and bring them. And then the ladies would give him orders that increased in difficulty in terms of the weight of the object. Krishna, bring this, bring that. And if Krishna couldn't lift those objects, what would he do? He would just touch the objects and then look at everyone as if he had been successful. And sometimes he would, if he couldn't lift the object, he would just raise his hands in the air like a sports star. Or sometimes he would, even though I haven't lifted it, I'm still strong. So he's doing all this to please the devotees, these elder ladies of Vrindavan. He's showing, I love to come under the control of pure love. Krishna does these pastimes for another reason. He's going to show the external devotees as well as the internal devotees that he loves being conquered by pure bhakti. The external devotees are those like Brahma and Shiva who are so overwhelmed by the opulence and power of Krishna. And the internal devotees are like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. No matter what Krishna does, they never think he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna, by showing his subordination, by his dancing to the clapping of the elder gopis, by his bringing this object and that object, even if he can't lift it, he touches it or he flexes his muscles to please them. He's showing, this is where I'm really at. And where Krishna is really at is what Lord Chaitanya comes to taste. Krishna himself wants to taste what it's like to be under the control of his pure devotee's love. But he can't do that as Krishna. So then you'll say, as I often point out, there's something Krishna can't do? That is correct. He can't do it as Krishna, but he comes as Lord Chaitanya and does it. As you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you read the thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he came as Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead, he demonstrated Braj Leela, but he didn't distribute the knowledge and taste of Braj Leela. So he's thinking, let me come as my own devotee and demonstrate the knowledge and taste a spontaneous love for Krishna in which the devotee doesn't think Krishna is a Supreme Personality God. Let me come as Lord Chaitanya and taste what it's like to be my own devotee. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita you read how Krishna says, all these Vedic prayers, all this awe and reverence actually doesn't do it for me. It doesn't really please me as much as when my friends climb on my shoulders and say, carry me, you're no big man. Who do you think you are? I'm just as good as you. This is what gives Krishna the most pleasure. Or when his parents, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, chastise him, Krishna, eat your food or you'll die. This is what gives me pleasure. Or when Krishna's girlfriends in Braj, they chastise him, you cheater. You're always looking at other girls. This is so wonderful. What would happen if you tried to imitate that? Your home life would be a disaster. So Krishna is describing what his program is. I want to broadcast that spontaneous love and show how I love most to come under the control of my pure devotees. So this is what Lord Chaitanya has come to teach. He teaches Rupa Goswami, he teaches Sanatana Goswami, and then the 6 Goswamis perpetuate that knowledge. And today our bhakti activities are based on the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and Lord Chaitanya taught them. At least he taught Rupa and Sanatan. He also taught Raghunath Das Goswami via Srup Damodar. He's teaching spontaneous love of Krishna beyond opulence, awe and reverence, beyond Aishvarya. But speaking of Aishvarya, when Krishna kills various demons in Vrindavan, as we said, the devotees never think that he's God. And you'll see this when Upananda, the elder brother of Nanda Maharaj, calls an Ishtagoshti, a gathering of the whole village. You see, the falling of the Yamala Arjun trees on the ground was the last straw in terms of the Brijbasis thinking they were in a safe place. They were in Mahavan. But so many things were happening there, they thought. So Upananda, even though he's the older brother of Nanda Maharaj, his name Upananda means subordinate to Nanda Maharaj. But he's the elder. What's going on here? That's not Vedic culture, is it? That's not Vedic etiquette, that the older brother is subordinate to the younger brother. Many of you know, even in Indian families today, the elder brother has the last word. That's all breaking down, of course. I know in Vrindavan there are so many businesses there on Lowy Bazaar that were run by a joint family. The father, and then the father dies, he passes the business on to his sons, and the elder brother has the final word. But that's all breaking up, it's all disappearing. So I know those shops in Lowy Bazaar because I've been seeing them since 1977, when the father was present and all the sons were working cooperatively. Then the father passes away, and the elder brother is supposed to be the anchor of the whole business, but the younger brother's and so the business breaks up. So Upananda, how does he, as the older brother, take such a subordinate role? But he recognizes the superior qualities of Nanda Maharaj. And therefore he acts as an assistant to Nanda Maharaj. So he calls a meeting. Let's come together and talk about what's happening here in Mahavan, Brihadvan. Think, there was Putana Rakshasi. How was she killed? It's only by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that Krishna was protected. And it was also due, his protection was also due to the mantras recited in the home of Yashoda. And then what about Shakatasura, the cart demon? Krishna, in a lonely place where no one was around, was sleeping. His mother put him under the cart to take rest, and the cart crashed down. Some demon had taken the form of the cart. And Krishna wasn't hurt. We again know the reason why he was spared. The mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Vishnu Parabrahma. And then Trinarvata, the whirlwind demon. He took Krishna high into the air. What would have happened to Krishna if he had fallen off? But instead, the demon was killed. Why? Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. And what just happened? It was either yesterday or today. Some acharyas say it was yesterday, some say the same day. The crashing down of the Yamala Arjuna trees. There's Krishna bound to a mortar. He could have been finished by the crashing down of the trees. Not only him, but his cowherd boyfriends, his little boyfriends. They were watching and nearby. They all could have been finished. Again, the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And maybe some devatas were involved as instruments. But he never said, it's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No. It's by the pious activities of the residents of Vrindavan that Krishna was spared. Or it was by the mantras they recite. Krishna's protected. Or it's by the brahmanas whose blessings allow Krishna to be spared. But they never say it's because of Krishna. Krishna doesn't want them to see that. He doesn't want them to see his superiority as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He wants them to feel that we must protect Krishna. We must care for Krishna. He's our dependent. This is the unique flavor of Vatsalya Prem, parental love of Krishna. So Upananda wants to get everyone fired up to move. So he presents to them that it's unsafe for all the children of this area. In this way, he makes sure that Nanda Maharaj doesn't think they're going through all this trouble just because of my son. So Upananda says, it's everyone's children that are in danger. Of course, by worrying about Krishna, they are indeed worrying about everyone, because Krishna is the root. So externally, Upananda is saying like that, all the children. It's not just Nanda Maharaj's son. All the children. It's not just my nephew Krishna. All the children. But have no doubt, the central focus is Krishna, and that's what is on Upananda's mind. He wants to get everyone to move immediately. There's so much harassment here at this spot. I know a better place. I know that the forest of Vrindavan will be ideal. So he wants to inspire the cowherd people to immediately pack up and move location on the spot, immediately to Vrindavan. So he says, he concludes this presentation by saying, If you all agree, let's do that. And everyone unanimously agreed, let's pack up and move. Too many demons are attacking in this location. We've heard that Vrindavan is a better place. So unanimously they all agreed. How do you get unanimous agreement? Because they're all thinking 100% how to please Krishna. And that's what Upananda appeals to. Let's protect Krishna and all the children. This is the best thing to do. So they all pack up and they load up their possessions on carts and they start moving. Krishna and Balaram are on a special cart with Yashoda and Rohini. Those two boys have to be together, and their mothers, Rohini and Yashoda, they can't live for a moment in separation from Krishna and Balaram. And Krishna and Balaram can't live for a moment in separation from one another. So they're on one cart. And then the other carts are loaded up with all the possessions. And the cowherd men are surrounding the procession of carts. They have bows and arrows. Do you ever wonder why the cowherd men are surrounding the carts with bows and they're carrying bows and arrows? It's because of Kamsa. Fear of Kamsa is in the air. It's such a long procession heading toward the Yamuna River in Vrindavan. The cowherd men make sure that those under their protection are safe. Who's under their protection especially? The ladies, the elders, the children, and the cows. So they know we're heading to a place that will be super for the cows. Twice this is mentioned in the same verse. This will be the best for the cows. And that way we see how important the cows are. In the Vaishnava world, in the Vedic world, in any sane human society, cows are so important. So the cowherd people have it in their mind. In Vrindavan, there'll be fresh grass, there'll be Govardhan Hill, there'll be lakes and streams of water. So this is what they have in mind, but they're moving. They reach the Yamuna River. How do they get across the Yamuna River? Sounds like a logistical problem, doesn't it? This long line of carts. Some acharyas say that they tied the carts together somehow and the carts floated across the Yamuna River. Others say that they hired boats. In any case, they got across the river. And they set up their encampment in Vrindavan. They circled the carts and left an opening for the cows to come in and go out. And then the next day they built some fortifications, a temporary fence of thorny bushes surrounding their encampment. And then you wonder, well, what about houses? How do they survive without houses? They're just living outside. They just have these carts. But it was summertime, so they didn't have to immediately build their houses. So they're doing all this to please Krishna. How can Krishna be protected? Even though Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is life in Vrindavan. This is the mystery of Vatsalya Prem, parental love of Krishna, in which the devotee thinks Krishna is dependent on me for protection and nourishment. And this is what Krishna relishes. Not so much the official prayers of the Vedas, but more the spontaneous, pure love of his devotees, which is so pure that Krishna wants to come under the control of it. So Lord Brahma is receiving the respects of Lord Shiva, even though Lord Shiva is in a special category of his own. And as we said, Lord Brahma is smiling, but inside he's afraid. We have a volatile situation here. We have a potential calamity. Lord Shiva has been insulted by Daksha. His wife has departed, immolated herself, burned herself up with yogic prowess. What is Lord Shiva going to do? I've got to manage this situation. So externally he's smiling. And we talked about the external smile of Nanda Maharaj when he untied Krishna. We talked about Krishna's external smile while he was being untied by Nanda Maharaj. All kinds of things like this are going on in the interaction between Krishna and his devotees, and also in the interaction between great personalities like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Kashyapa Muni and Vamana Dev, and so on and so forth. This is the wealth of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's so deep. And by absorbing your mind in Srimad Bhagavatam, you lose your taste for the grossness and barbarian nature of things today. And that's good for you to understand that it's doubtful we live in a human civilization. The more you understand that, the more realistic you become. So Srimad Bhagavatam is injecting into you the standards of a real human civilization. So you may say all these personalities like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Kashyapa Muni, Vamana Dev, the Devatas, they're far beyond us. Yes, but by hearing from them, your personal standards rise. Especially by hearing about their pure devotional service. As stated in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, pure devotional service is so potent that just by hearing about it, talking about it with others, just by accepting it, yes, I can't do that, I'm not doing it now, but I just love the concept. Just that much can turn someone who hates the demigods and all living entities, can transform and cleanse totally such a person, just by acknowledging the superiority and wonder of pure bhakti. So you may be thinking sometimes, what's the point in hearing about all these exalted devotees? Here I am down on the ground in Sydney, Australia, battling traffic, battling the IT world, battling the finance world, trying to keep my children from, you know. And yet, you want me to read Srimad Bhagavatam about Lord Shiva's lotus feet worshipped by both the demigods and demons? What's that got to do with my everyday life? And you read about the pure bhakti of devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, and you're hearing about Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai in the pure Brajbasi Prem. What's that got to do with me? But just by hearing about it, you're becoming transformed. Just by respecting it. I'm nowhere near the standard of a pure bhakta, but I appreciate hearing about it and I offer all my respects. That's enough to transform you, put you on the path of transformation. So much so that the 11th canto says, even if you're a hater of the Devatas, even if you're a hater of all living entities, your consciousness can become transformed just by hearing about pure bhakti, talking about it, respecting it. So this is being practical. So please do not let yourself be overwhelmed by today's barbaric culture of not accepting any authorities, no experts. Don't become submerged in internet consciousness. There are no experts. Everyone's opinion is just as good. This is not human life. Bhakti means dependency on authoritative knowledge. Authoritative knowledge means authorities. Oh. Krishna himself cites authorities in Bhagavad Gita. So the more we understand that bhakti is a guidance culture, the easier our spiritual life is. The more guidance you have in your spiritual endeavors, the more opulent is your life. And as I always point out, if anyone has ever helped you in your spiritual life, even in the smallest way, never let that person forget it. We want to have a gratitude culture. Not that someone helps you in your spiritual life and then you take initiation and then, well, it's all about Guru Dev. Forget the others. The more you acknowledge the input of others in your life and show gratitude, the more wealthy you are. I remember the first time I worked up the courage to go to a temple. As many of you know, I was reading Prabhupada's books on my own, hours every day, for 6 months before I would ever think of going to a temple. And somehow or other I finally did, but I was very nervous. It was in a part of New York City I never went to. I was a Manhattan person and the temple was in Brooklyn. That's like saying I was a Newtown person and then you're taking me to where? Pratap? What's the equivalent of this? Brooklyn, I've never been there in my life. I'm totally absorbed in the cool world of Manhattan. But I said, okay, I'll take a chance. I'll go to the temple in Brooklyn for the first time. I don't know what you're going to find there. So I took the subway to Brooklyn and then did the 10-minute walk from the subway station to the temple. 3 blocks away from the temple, I could smell the incense in the air. 2 blocks away from the temple, I was hearing, what's that? I asked myself, am I sure I'm doing the right thing? I could be entering an alien world. I mean, I love their books, but aren't they kind of strange people? With funny haircuts and funny clothes. Maybe there's all hippies. So I got to the front door of the temple, very nervous. I opened the door, and someone had the service of being the official greeter. So as soon as I opened the door, the official greeter, the devotee doing that service, said with a loud voice, "Welcome, brother, you've come to the right place." Come on in, take off your shoes, put your shoes here, go in the temple room, move your feet around to the music. 60s talk. Wasn't my language, but it made me relax. You know? That's all. Whenever I see that devotee, which is rare, I always thank him. Just for that little thing of 51 years ago, 52 years ago. I never let him forget it. So I can assure you, if you take up this practice of expanding the Vaishnava gratitude culture, you'll cause an increase in others showing gratitude. Because what happens if someone If someone shows gratitude to you, what do you start doing? Huh? Yes, you show it to others. It's contagious. So please remember that. Gratitude for anyone who's helped you, especially seniors, elders. Don't take it for granted. Yeah, you did that, but that's your service. I don't have to thank you. This is kripana consciousness, miserly consciousness. So let the Bhagavatam enter your heart by your showing gratitude, expanding the culture of gratitude. By you doing that, others will be inspired to do it themselves. Otherwise, what sometimes happens? You show no gratitude to someone who's helped you in your spiritual life. And in fact, you may develop unfavorable feelings. You may have some disagreement down the road. And that person feels, this is what I get for putting my heart and soul into helping you? This is how you respond? Okay, we may have some managemental disagreements down the road that have happened. But don't you remember how I tried so hard to get you to start chanting, to get you engaged in devotional service? Don't you remember that? No. All I know is I've got my guru and it's not you. Well, if you truly have a guru, you should know these things. Gratitude, appreciation. Otherwise, you're just a Kanishthadakari, Prakrita Bhakta, third-class devotee, who offers respects to the deities in the temple. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. As for the devotees, So yes, in this way you can expand the Bhagavatam culture. You don't have to be a Lord Shiva, you don't have to be a Lord Brahma. You can be little old you or me, but by showing gratitude, you change situations, you transform associations of devotees. Such an easy thing to do. And of course, that can start in your own home. I remember I was at New Govardhan, and I had to pick up lunch from somewhere. One lady devotee was cooking lunch for me, but her husband wasn't there, so I was just going to go to the door and pick it up. And while at the door, I looked over her shoulder and I saw, your house looks very tidy. So I said that. You know, just standing in the doorway, I could see your house is very clean. Immediately she broke down crying. I said, oh, what did I do wrong? Is the Swami in trouble? she was crying, and I said, excuse me, Mataji, I didn't mean to say anything wrong. She said, I'm crying because I've been cleaning my house like this for 20 years and my husband never notices. Just to hear you say that has touched my heart so much. He never tells me this, and every day I keep the house sparkling clean. I said, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the lunch. So you'd be shocked how much expression of gratitude changes situations. Whether in your home or in the temple, in the society of devotees. So another time, we'll talk about Narada Muni in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, demonstrating the Vaishnava sport of going throughout the universe and beyond to see the glories of devotees, to see who's got Krishna's mercy. He goes from one to the other, and each person he goes to says, no, I don't have Krishna's mercy, but this one does. They send Narada Muni on the perfect equivalent of a wild goose chase. This is the one who has the mercy. And he goes to that one. No, another one is the one who has the mercy. In this way, Narada Muni gets to relish the devotional service of so many devotees. That's a Vaishnava sport. Observing, how is this devotee serving Krishna so wonderfully? Instead of envying them, appreciate. As Srila Prabhupada once explained, envy is so close to just appreciation. You only envy someone who has something better or who does something better. Oh, that Radhika Prasad, he distributes so many books. He must be giving them all away for free. Yeah, we know. Some or other, his family, they're all nice devotees. They're faking it. We'll see what his daughter's like in a few years. That's envy. But you only envy someone who's doing something or showing something better. So why not just appreciate? You're better. Oh, we can't do that. But you can do that. So appreciation is just a step away from envy. Appreciate and express your appreciation. Oh, you're doing so nicely. And pray to Krishna. One day, I'll be able to do nicely like that. Because when you're dealing with devotees, you see so many skills. Like I'm staying with Pratapana Prabhu now. And he's got such an eagle eye for how things should go on properly in terms of finances, legalities, strategies. I'm always amazed. He's got this pinpoint vision. Gets that look in his eyes. And he zeroes in. What about the financial situation in this temple or that temple? Or what about that real estate acquisition? I don't know about that. Swami, you better do something about it. So every devotee has such opulences. If you open your eyes, you'll see it. Even this little boy, which little boy was chanting the verse today? Oh, how old are you? 13. What was I doing when I was 13? Singing rock and roll songs. And he's chanting slokas. So the glories of the Vaishnavas are all around. The more you are open to seeing that and become grateful and express the gratitude and appreciation, the more you're living in the spiritual world. All right. Any questions? Yes, way in the back. Speak loudly, please.
Just wondering, are the factors of etiquette and respect primarily based on one's upbringing, cultural background?
You're asking? But you can, as I said, pick up proper culture of gratitude and appreciation just by closely reading Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not that, oh, well, these personalities are so far beyond us and the time that they were of is so long ago. No. Let Bhagavatam enter your heart by your full appreciation. This is real life. So we're meant in a temple, in a community of devotees, we're meant to be showing a superior culture. And how can there be a superior culture demonstrated if we don't know how to show gratitude and appreciation? Such a simple thing, gratitude. But I've heard from so many families, they don't get that in their own home. So whether in your home or in your temple or in your bhakti vriksha, become a gratitude showing addict. And you'll see such a difference. I was talking about this with one couple who have been married for, I don't know, 30 years. And so the wife was telling me, my husband, ever since you gave such a class, he's been always expressing gratitude. I know he's just saying those things because you told him to, but I still like it. Who doesn't like to hear gratitude or appreciation? Even you might think the person is just saying it because he heard this class by Devamrita Swami. Still, you like it, right? One husband told me that his wife gave him the ultimate compliment, which he was still trying to figure out how to process. She told him, he said, you know, I wouldn't mind being married to you in my next life. He realized that's the ultimate compliment. What do the Matajis think, yes? So even though he knew she might be just saying that, still he was like, I'm a real man. Anything else? Yes?
Thank you for your wonderful class. Just had a question with regards to humility and gratitude. When we're among the devotees, we try to be humble and have a lot of gratitude. But then when we go to the secular world for work and studies and so on and so forth, when we try to offer gratitude and maybe be humble, you end up noticing that they walk all the way. So how do we draw a line with that consciousness, or how do we keep transitioning between when we go from devotee association and then to secular world? It gets a little confusing. So.
The workplace is a drama. It's a theater. The more you realize that, the more you won't be in anxiety. Everyone's playing a role. And everyone is acting like we're just doing this for the interests of the company or the business, but actually they're simply thinking of themselves. So when you go to the workplace, you've got to be prepared to be an actor. Just like during an interview. What do you do during an interview? It's a drama, right? Just like one devotee was telling me the other day, she was at a job interview and it was for some sports streaming entity. So it requires technical skills, the job required IT skills, but they asked her, do you like sports? So she replied, is it a deal breaker if I say no? I said, oh, don't worry about it. So they hired her anyway. So she was playing the drama. Oh, if I say I don't like sports, does that mean I don't get the job? So they probably appreciated her honesty and her forthrightness, her straightforwardness. I know another devotee from Adelaide. He's in the IT world, and whenever he goes for a job, because he's self-financed now, but in the past when he would go for a job, he knows what the HR department's thinking. They're thinking, is this going to be one of those people from India who just don't socialize with others and just stay in their cubicle with a picture of Vishnu on the wall? The stereotype. He knows they're thinking like that. Is he going to be able to mix with the Aussies? So they ask him questions like, what do you do when you go home from your job? He just looks in the eye and says, I chant Hare Krishna. Whoa! You're straightforward. Say, I chant Hare Krishna, and sometimes I go out with a big group of persons on the street and we chant Hare Krishna. So I can see he's extroverted, you know? He's not holding anything back. Okay, yeah, all right. Whatever you do is fine. Whatever gets you through the night, chanting Hare Krishna, scuba diving, sailing, surfing, whatever. Okay, we hire you. I don't know if you could imitate him, but but that's how he does it, because he knows what they're thinking. They're thinking he's probably a vegetarian. He won't come to our, drinking sessions, or he won't come to our lunches. He'll just order a salad. That's what I'm thinking. And of course, that's what he does. He just goes to the lunches and has salads and doesn't drink, of course. But he shows them, I'm extroverted. You can talk to me. I'm going to talk to you. Oh, okay. So the workplace, to make a long story short, it's a theater. And there'll sometimes be persons who can detect your finer qualities, and they'll ask you about it. Anything else? Yes?
Hello, thank you for a wonderful class. I have a question in terms of running the family. Like every day, we run behind many things, we try to achieve things, routines, get things done. There are more complaints on each other to get things done perfectly, to get things completed in a day than gratitude. There's more room for compliance.
For complaints?
Complaints, yes. So how do we actually get things done at the same time, show it in a gratitude way?
Well, full disclosure, I took the easy way out. And the cheaper way. So you find someone who's successful at household life over a long time, and you ask them these questions. I don't present myself as an expert in that department. Of course, I can observe what goes on all over the world. I've been on every continent in the world, but still, I don't put myself forth as an expert in such internal relationships and affairs of the home. Okay? Anything else? Yes?
When you were hearing the kartal sound, when you were going first time to the temple and you were hearing kartal sound, now you're playing kartal here, and you went to the temple. Did you come back or you stayed forever there?
No, I came back, but I went every Sunday for a while because I loved the food. A Sunday feast back then, you couldn't believe. Minimum a dozen preparations. Kofta, sweet rice, 2 types of halava. Halava floating in butter with big chunks of pineapple and strawberries in. 3 different sabjis, especially paneer sabji, not with little pieces of paneer, but big chunks of paneer. 13 or so preparations. What else? Koftas we mentioned. So many delights, like Pratap, I can remember from those days. So that's what I was thinking of. So yes, I would come back every Sunday for that. And then I heard they had Harinam parties in Manhattan, the real New York City. So I would join the Harinam party. I thought, this is cool, singing and dancing So that's how I gradually started coming to the temple more and more. Yes?
It was such a wonderful class. It's been like so many years that you've been giving us your association. Right from the days that Tuesday and Sri Golokha Prabhu was actually doing a lot of retreats.
I missed the last part. You have to speak louder.
So it's just wanted to.
I heard the thanks part. I thank you for that. But
Back in the days when Krishna and Sri Goloka and Viren Prabhu and Subhadra Mataji used to connect retreats, we have
Oh.
been in your association since long. And for each and every visit of yours, we have learned something new and which is practical, which we are able to apply. So I just wanted to thank you.
I thank you. Thank you very much. Guru Gopal ki, Shri Radha Gopinath ki, Don't Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Hare